Welcome, friends at a greasy shop rag. Today we're going to take a look at a Husqvarna 346 XP chainsaw. Customer complaint is that it's low on power. Well, as you can see there, it looks like the fuel tank is separated from the power head a little bit. And because of that, the trigger isn't working as it should. I think somebody had a boo-boo and didn't want to tell the mechanic what happened. Maybe a little embarrassed that he pinched the saw and yanked on it so hard that he somehow dislodged the anti-vibe system. So you can see there that the trigger action isn't getting very much throttle movement. That anti-vibe spring on top is bent, or at least it's cocked right now. It's probably not permanently bent. So we don't know 100% if he actually pinched this or if he dropped it. It doesn't look like it was dropped. It doesn't look like it was squished. But I like to remove the handle when I see saws come in like this, just to see if the handlebar itself, that metal bar, is holding the saw in that position because it's bent or something. If I remove this and that gap stays there between the tank and the power head, there's probably a fair chance that it wasn't the handle at all. So there's 5 screws holding this in, one of them being in that anti-vibe spring in the cylinder. Pull the handle off of there. That spring came back to shape. We still got a big gap here. And the reason we have that gap is not because that other spring is still attached, but there's a pocket on the tank and a kind of locating pin on the chassis that are kind of like a limiter. And he's popped that pin out of the pocket of the limiter. So we got to loosen things up and get it to pop back in. These anti-vibe systems work pretty good, but in order to make them work good, there's got to be, minimal contact points between the human being and the machine, meaning the tank handle and the power head. So now that I've got all the anti-vibe springs out, I can kind of flex this enough to get that locating pin back where it belongs. And I just noticed that that anti-vibe spring right here is just a little loose. So we'll reach in and tighten it up before we put the mounting screw in. So the screw's got to be one of these 6 screws here, right? Well, I know the handle uses 3 longs and 2 shorts. So whatever's left must be my anti-vibe spring, eh? Yeah, I know some of you put trays and dishes out and separate all the screws, but kind of takes all the fun out of solving a puzzle, doesn't it? Alright, our chain stop is also the screw for the front anti-vibe spring. We'll mount that back in here. Things are looking pretty good. Let's put this handle back on. So you'll notice right there that a little plastic piece fell off the handle. You noticed it. I noticed it here in the video. The guy putting the thing together didn't notice it right away. Got 1 screw in. Got another screw started. Gonna go to the 3rd screw. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. I can tell right there something's not right. I know that plastic piece is supposed to be in there. I've done many of them. There it is. That plastic piece has a bit of a pocket that receives that anti-vibe spring. And that pocket doesn't fit up against the metal handle properly. So it was kind of obvious that things weren't just lined up right. All right, that's starting to look pretty good. Let's put these two shorter screws in the bottom here. Don't get them mixed up, because if you put the long screws in here, you could end up with a problem. I have seen long screws go through these tanks, and then as the saw flexes naturally on its anti-vibe springs, the heads of those, or the ends of those screws, can poke a hole right through the bottom of the oil tank. It can happen. I've seen it before. So now our throttle linkage seems to work properly, but are we getting full throttle? Not quite. I think that that throttle rod got bent in the whole process, which is no big deal. These things can be straightened out. First, we want to get rid of some of this schmutz. Yeah, the throttle feels good, but it's not getting full throttle, and by golly, we need full throttle, don't we? So the throttle rod has got a couple of, we'll call them Z bends in them, 90-degree bends in order to get from the center line of the handle to the side of the carburetor. And if I just take a flat-jawed pliers and I squeeze on one of those bends, it's going to naturally make the rod longer. I mean, if we squeezed on it till the bend was completely gone, the rod would be a lot longer, right? But it wouldn't be perpendicular from the handle to the carburetor, so we have to bend it in two spots. A little squeeze on two different bends to keep the orientation proper, and then that'll effectively lengthen that rod, and we were getting full throttle out of it now. Alright, we're going to blow some of this debris out of the air filter. You thought I was going to say schmutz. And then after I do that, I always like to check these nylon filters and make sure I didn't blow a hole through them, or that there wasn't already a tear in there. Let me put this top cover back on. 3 clips, I mean, that's it, no big deal. Except it's not seating properly. There we go. We got it? No. Why is it fighting me? Sometimes you're better off just starting over. We loosen the front clip, get the bottom down into place. Alright, so let's see if this thing starts and runs, and if it does, then that's all I have for you on Husqvarna 346 XP chainsaw that didn't get full throttle because the customer pinched it. Thanks for watching. Later.